What's up everybody, I'm Brandon from Tattooing 101 and today I'm going to show you how to tattoo clouds. Obviously there's a couple different ways and a couple different styles to be able to tattoo clouds on a tattoo, which is a great background. You're going to get asked probably a ton throughout your career to tattoo clouds. So today I'm going to break down how to do that. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you like and subscribe down below so you can keep up to date on the content that we make for you guys each week. Alright, let's get into how to tattoo clouds. So anytime I do clouds, I like to use a pen or ink pen, something like that that'll draw on skin, and just go in and draw the clouds exactly how I need them to flow with the tattoo. I don't necessarily ever stencil clouds just because I'm confident in being able to draw them and have them flow with the body a lot better than the stencil would. So that's one thing I definitely recommend you try out for sure and get comfortable doing, so it'll help you out on your career of being a tattoo artist and, you know, creating flow with the body and things like that. So there's two different ways to go about tattooing a cloud. There'll be the way where you do the outline, and then obviously just shading. You still shade the one with the outline, but it's done a little bit differently. So we'll start out with that one. Anytime you're doing clouds, you want to make sure that you have like a pivot point, just because, you know, there's a lot of fluent motions that are kind of like circles, and you want to be completely comfortable the whole time that you're tattooing. So just get used to doing that motion before jumping on to trying to do a cloud. And then right like this, so I'm using my pivot point, and we're going to go through here and do all these lines. And how I have my hand on a pivot right like that is also how I do my circles as well. So you could use that technique with a lot of different things that you are tattooing. And for everyone that always asks what cartridges I'm using, right now I'm using a 14 for this one, and then I'll tell you what I use for the mag as well. Okay, so we have some nice, simple, cartoony clouds right there. Now what we got to do is get out our mag and do some shading with it. For my ink, I have my straight black on my right, and then 6 drops, and then 3 drops right there. For the mag, I'm going to be using an 11. See, when you're doing clouds, it's really nice to have a little bit smaller of a mag, because you could get in all these little sections and create really nice transitions that way. So I try to stay away from using a super huge mag when I'm doing these, and I also like to have my mag hang out a little bit more so I could get in there and be able to see exactly where my needles are when I'm tattooing. So we'll start out with our black and just do some whip shading out. And what I do is I won't stay one way when I'm whip shading. I'll kind of transition and create smooth shades going back and forth, right like this. And then just go towards the other clouds on top. And obviously if you're doing clouds, there's going to be a ton more than just like one little row. So you're going to just do this and then keep working up as you go along. And then just working on the pendulum shading motion, going back and forth and building up the tones for your clouds. And depending on how dark you go can change how the clouds look completely. So if you go a little bit darker, obviously they're going to look more like storm clouds. If you go lighter, it's going to look like more heavenly clouds, you know, if you're doing like doves or anything like that. So changing how dark the clouds actually are that you're tattooing will change the whole feel for the tattoo. So we did some dark ones on that side. I'll go through and do some lighter ones. Which obviously this is a 3-drop that I'm using right now, and it's going to show up a lot darker on fake skin than it is on actual human skin. So that's one thing to keep in mind if you are practicing on fake skin. If you do transition over to actual human skin, you have to kind of practice with your gray washes, just because they're going to be a lot different. And then once you get done with that layer, you just work yourself up to the next layer that'll be on top, obviously. And just sticking fluent with that method to where you're not going one way the whole time. You're kind of cross-hatching and going back and forth to make smooth transitions. Clouds you'll probably tattoo a lot, so they are a great thing to practice when it comes to your shading, because you'll be able to see all your transitions and just get comfortable being able to do them. And I definitely recommend, if you're getting into clouds, to practice this way first, because you're going to use a lot of the same movements and everything when it comes to the one above it, but that's without lines at all. Okay, so that's how I tattoo more cartoony clouds when it comes to things like that. So when we're up here, we're going to do the same shading method, but just incorporate it without the lines. So we're still going to shade the tattoo how we were, but there's no lines to kind of like hold everything together, so you have to be very careful where you're putting in your shading, or you'll completely lose the whole effect of the tattoo. It won't look like clouds, it'll just look like little patchy areas everywhere. So that's why I hang my mag out a little bit, so I could clearly see exactly where all of my needles are going, and just be able to work in all my shading exactly where I need it to go. And you could do the same method if you want it to look more like dark clouds. You could just have a little bit darker of a gray wash. If you want it a little bit lighter, just use a lighter gray wash, and so on. And then just working through exactly how we did on the bottom side. But you can see that this one gives a completely different feel and look, just because it doesn't have this super bold traditional lines in it. So this is what I do for more like black and gray, things like that. And just build up, knowing exactly what clouds are behind and in front, to have some different tones and transitions. And then just making sure you're paying attention to where all of your shading needs to go. You don't want to go over one of these lines or it'll completely throw off the tattoo. So just focus on going and doing that cross-hatching motion as well. You can see how it could be a little bit trickier if you're using a bigger mag trying to get into these areas, which is why, you know, I do use that smaller mag. And then you just work your way up. So that's a way to make more feathery clouds compared to the hard lines underneath. I do a lot more of these clouds than I do here. That's more for like black and gray, and it takes a really long time to kind of build up all of the tones needed to have them look really, really good, which you could definitely do no problem as long as you sit there and take your time knowing exactly where all of your shading needs to be and building up from your black into your gray, all of those things, which you'll be able to do no problem. I hope this was able to teach you how to tattoo clouds, because I'm sure you'll be doing them in your career at some point. So as always, thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful day. If you have found this video helpful and you would like to be mentored by artists like me and other mentors from Tattooing 101, I left a link underneath this video for you. Inside our Artist Accelerator program, we break down step by step how to tattoo from start to finish, even if you are just a beginner. So if you're tired of trying to figure out everything on your own and want to skip years of trial and error to become a professional tattoo artist, I recommend you check it out.